want this to be an authentic documentary about Tokyo. And it wouldn't be an authentic documentary about Tokyo if we didn't visit one of the world famous maid cafes. Now obviously cameras aren't going to be able to come in, but so I'll just go in by myself, just for the doco. I'll just go in there and I'll just be there for maybe like just 2 or 3 hours. But you know, for the doco, for like to have stuff, not because I want to, but for the sake of the, you know, the authenticity of the doco.
I'm Tommy Dassalo, comedian, podcaster, illustrator, and card-carrying weeb. I'm here in Tokyo and I've cooked up a philosophy that no one else has ever thought of. Everything is better in Japan. The food is tastier, the neon lights are brighter, and the draft beer is draftier.
Oh yeah, and also you can buy some of that tentacle porn that you love so much.
In case the taxation office is watching, for this particular trip I'm on a mission. My friend Momo runs a cafe called Better Together, and I've convinced her to let me draw some artwork to hang on their walls. I'm giving myself 1 week to seek inspiration, bang out the drawings in my cramped hotel room, and host an exhibition at the cafe.
Oh yeah, and then you're probably gonna buy some bloody used underpants out of a vending machine, eh mate?
Can we get this guy out of here? After shaking off the 11 beers that I had on the flight over, it's time for a visit to the Snoopy Museum. Now I am of course aware that Snoopy-san is not Japanese, even though he does bear an uncanny resemblance to the Sanrio character of Pochako. I think of Snoopy as like a cultural spirit level. You can learn a lot about a people by how they treat this little pooch, a bit like trying the Big Mac in another country to establish a culinary baseline. Everything is exquisitely presented with elegance and reverence. However, if there's one downside to the Snoopy Museum, it's that it callously overlooks the most vital piece of Snoopy lore. At the 2014 Australian Open, as temperatures soared to 40 degrees Celsius, Canadian tennis player Frank Dankovic collapsed mid-match, claiming to have seen Snoopy before he passed out. Thankfully, the final room of the Snoopy Museum features a gigantic wall onto which patrons can attach their own drawings, so I'm able to right this grievous wrong. Justice for Frank Dankovic.
So I've been in Tokyo for a few days now and I'm starting to really miss my dog Cupie. So I've come down to the world famous Yoyogi dog park and I'm going to get him on FaceTime and I'm going to take him for a virtual walk around this dog park. They said he's a very beautiful dog and they're not wrong. Yep. The lady at the counter had to make sure that I knew that these were dog food. Like I look stupid enough to eat this. Now, what I'm actually going to do is feed them to my dog over FaceTime. Yippee. 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 Yippee.
Next up, it's time for some market research. On a Saturday afternoon in 2023, I pulled up in the car park of the iconic Clifton Hill McDonald's and sold bootleg merchandise that I had made out of the boot of my car. At one point there was a line stretching around the block, and so I think it's safe to say that my artwork is a hit in the inner north of Melbourne. But how will it go over in what many have described as the Clifton Hill of the East, Harajuku?
I'm here at Harajuku in Tokyo, widely recognised as one of the trendiest and most fashionable areas in the world. I've brought down my bootleg Clifton Hill McDonald's merchandise that I made a few months ago, and I'm going to see what kind of interest I can get from the tastemakers and the trendsetters of vibrant Harajuku. Look it up on Google, it's an icon. Clifton Hill McDonald's official bootleg merchandise, guys. 3,000 yen? It's 30 Australian dollars. If I sell this for 3,000 yen, I'm taking a real bath on what these cost me. If I was in Melbourne and someone came up to me with a jumper of the Yokohama McDonald's and it was 30 Australian dollars, I'd leap at it.
After a harrowing 2 hours during which I am at best ignored and at worst openly ridiculed, I have to face some harsh truths. I consider myself to be a fashionable guy at home, but perhaps my style of dressing like a sporty toddler isn't going to cut it in the land that gave us the stylish simplicity of the Ivy trend. My dreams of appearing on the cover of Popeye magazine are vanishing in front of me. Perhaps like all of the best Japanese drip, my bootleg McDonald's merchandise simply needs to be a collaboration with at least 3 other brands in order to really pop. Just as my morale is at rock bottom and I'm contemplating a trip out to the you-know-what forest, these 2 girlies take an interest in me and my products, which, at the end of a long and brutal sales campaign, puts me on cloud 9, even though my Japanese friend later informs me that they were probably only talking to me because I reminded them of the children's cartoon character, Anpan Man. After being humiliated on the bustling streets of the mainland, I've booked a couple of days on the tropical island of Okinawa. Clear skies, crystal blue waters, pristine sand. None of these things are present in Okinawa in February when I'm there. The sky is overcast, the winds are high, and the staff in my hotel keeps staring at me like they can't quite work out why anyone would come here at this time of the year. This isn't to say that Okinawa doesn't still have a wealth of experiences to offer in the down season. I eat Okinawa-style soba noodles, which are deliciously spongy and chewy. I visit their incredible aquarium where I see the biggest bastard of a fish that I've ever laid eyes on. And I eat more of those soba noodles on the beach. I visit Americatown, a strange little village that looks like it's out of a cartoon, set up to service the American military who are based nearby. I eat musabi, which is a log of spam with egg wrapped in rice and nori, and taco curry rice, which surely to God you can figure out on your own. My hotel has its own onsen, which is consistently empty, except for one night when I'm joined by a man who I assume is or was in the Yakuza, due to him being covered head to toe in tattoos. There's something truly exhilarating about having your penis out in front of a man who could decapitate you and think nothing of it. I hire a car and drive to the Pineapple Park, an educational theme park devoted to the cultivation of pineapples, and take a guided tour during which I am somehow able to squash the burning impulse inside of me to ask the tour guide if it's true that pineapple juice makes your ejaculate taste better. Unrelatedly, I get a fresh pineapple juice from the cafe and then stumble across a section of the park that is entirely devoted to dinosaurs for reasons which I was never really able to work out and may not even exist. This section starts off as being actually quite informative, but devolves into a final tableau featuring an animatronic display of this 3-piece dinosaur rock band singing a song about pineapples, which still pops into my head at least once a day, even now 7 months later. I spend my final night drinking 5 big cans of the locally brewed Orion on the beach by myself, and then it's time to return to Tokyo and get back to work in my favourite area of the city, Akihabara. A haven of electronics, arcades, retro video games, anime figurines, and body pillows as far as the eye can see.
What I love about Akihabara is it's a place where you can be whoever you want to be. As long as whoever you want to be is a man who's a disappointment to his parents. You come to Japan, you gotta hit one of the video game arcades. I want to get off the beaten track. I want to find the most niche, Japanese-style arcade machines that I can.
Within moments in here, I feel completely disoriented, like a 10-year-old at a birthday party at Time Zone. I play a bit of the popular drumming game Taiko no Tatsujin. I actually have a version of this at home for the Nintendo Switch, but my fiance never lets me play it because it's too noisy and it scares Cupie. I play this Guitar Hero style music game where I have to hit the buttons in time with the song playing, although the blaring noise from the rest of the arcade makes it literally impossible to hear what's going on. I try whatever the hell this is, and I genuinely cannot tell if the controls are broken, or I'm incompetent, or both. My experiment in immersing myself in the local gaming culture has completely backfired. I'm finding myself homesick and craving a real video game. An Australian video game. Aggro-Saw. Developed for the Nintendo Game Boy and featuring everyone's favourite misogynistic sock puppet, Aggro.
You may have seen by now that I've put out my own video game. It's called Super Dassalo Land. You can play it at tommydassalo.com. It's free online. It doesn't exist in any shops, but I'm here in Japan, the home of video games, the mecca of all the video games that I love, and I want to have my video game on the shelf in here at Super Potato, my favorite retro video game shop. So I've made up a Japanese copy with original Japanese box art of Super Dassalo Land, and we're going to head inside Super Potato and we're going to sneak this onto the shelf.
Not to sound hyperbolic, but Super Potato might be the very best place that exists on planet Earth. Shelves upon shelves filled with games from back to the dawn of console gaming, all in their original boxes and adorned with the bright, beautiful artwork that we in the West were deemed too pinheaded to fully appreciate. If you're passionate about the history of gaming and are determined to never have enough money in your savings account for a mortgage, then you'll feel right at home. It may only be a fake box, but it fills me with unbridled joy and satisfaction to know that my little mug now proudly resides inside Super Potato, alongside the titans of gaming like Alex Kidd and Bubsy the Bobcat. Hopefully my presence on this shelf leads some people to my work, because on the way out of the store I accidentally spent 80 Australian dollars on a cartridge of Super Mario Bros. 2, which I have no way of playing and already own in several other formats. But it's got a cool pink box! Finally, the big day is here. I've been hunkered down in my room, smashing out the illustrations for the exhibition. Big fish, pineapples, dogs, tennis, arcade machines, everything I've experienced in the last 2 weeks is represented in these artworks. The evening before, I've made the truly moronic decision to stay out until 4 AM doing karaoke with my friend Gibby. I attempt to heal myself with some fried chicken from Family Mart and make the harrowing hour-long journey out past Yokohama, stopping on the way to buy picture frames. After losing my last remaining marbles attempting to assemble the frames, the exhibition gets underway. The attendees are some people who saw me post about the exhibition on social media, a family who live in the area, and a dog. I even managed to sell some of my Clifton Hill McDonald's merchandise, which is great for my ego and also for making room in my suitcase for all of the stupid crap for babies that I've been buying. Ever since I first started getting worryingly obsessed with Japan and its culture, it's been a dream to put on an exhibition of my artwork over here. Even though the turnout is modest and my skull feels like it's caving in from this hangover, the day feels like a massive personal victory. I take a walk down to the beach at the end of the street, and because it's a clear day, I have a perfect view of the big lady herself, Mount Fuji.
You don't see too many travel shows where the host is walking around with all of their luggage on them because they forgot to book a hotel room for the night. You're not going to see Stanley Tucci wheeling his suitcase behind him through Naples.
With my final few hours in this beautiful country bearing down on me, I have just enough time for one final indulgence of the white man's delight, the Family Mart Egg Sando.
Alright, it's my last day in Japan, and so that means it is my last Family Mart Egg Sando of the trip. Look at that. It's so good. Imagine 7-Eleven in Australia doing a sandwich that was not only edible, but that you had one of and went, I am going to eat this every day for the rest of my holiday. I also found out yesterday that it's considered impolite to eat and drink while you're walking around the streets here, and I have been doing that non-stop multiple times a day for the last 17 days. So it's a good time to get out of here, I think.
Now that my luggage is loaded up with comics that are in a language I don't read, I've kept enough receipts to get my accountant off my back and committed 2 straight weeks worth of cultural faux pas, I can safely say that my work here is done. There's a feeling that overwhelms me on my final day every time I visit Japan. I haven't even left yet, but I already can't wait to come back. I've eaten ramen every single day. I've knocked back draft beer like my life depends on it. I've made some new friends. And most importantly, as an Australian travelling abroad, I have not engaged with a single shred of their history or local customs whatsoever. This is Tommy Dassalo saying arigato gozaimasu. Thanks for watching. Oh, and just for the record, I did look for the underwear vending machine, but I couldn't find it anywhere.